Hello and welcome to Wild Pyrford. This is our December edition. It's another packed programme with lots to think about and maybe the odd laugh. So, are you ready to get wild on Wild Pyrford? Well, let's get started. We'll be getting down and dirty in a ditch with the help of massive machinery when we make our regular visit to Joy Sashak's rewilding project. We'll begin by nipping over to West Byfleet to meet the West Byfleet Community Gardening Group. The objectives of the group are to involve local communities to make changes to live a more greener and sustainable life. They've been working hard at Birch Green to revitalise a patch of parkland that commuters regularly walk through on their way to the station. I went to meet this friendly and environmentally concerned community group as they planted bulbs and saplings. A short while ago, I met Rebecca Bradshaw.
The West Byfleet Community Gardening Group started last year and decided that we wanted to branch out and help people in the area to green up West Byfleet. We're trying to look after our green spaces a little bit more as well. We've put some hedging along Birch Green here to also provide shelter for wildlife. So it's also about rewilding, encouraging wildlife into the area, as well as sort of maintaining what we already have here and putting some nice flowers in for people to see on their journey in and out of West Byfleet.
As a resident of West Byfleet, I have an interest in gardening anyway. And I just feel it's very important for people to just see beautiful things as they walk to the station or walk to the shops. Adds to the environment.
So, as far as I know, this is either an alder or an ash tree, which Louisa from the group sort of sourced and supplied. And somebody has been looking after them during lockdown. I think they're more than ready to be planted. So I will now need to get a bit of compost to help it.
The reason we're planting bluebells here, for example, under the oak trees, is because they're a woodland flower, and also because they attract pollinators such as bees, which will come and look after the flowers, and then hopefully while they're here they'll have a look at the other flowers and do the same for them. So what we're doing, as well as planting these flowers, making it nice for the commuters, for the people walking past that will see them growing, we're also helping to encourage the ecosystem. Once you start attracting one type of animal, you get others. So ivy, for example, you can grow ivy in your garden and that will attract bees, but also birds. In the winter time will use the energy store from the ivy to provide them with that vital food when everything else has died back.
Yeah, and then Christine, we will have made some space for you here as well. We've got some space here for you as well. Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, that's great. David's gonna. Oh yeah. Can you pour a bit of that on, please, Becky? Yeah. So yeah, Becky and I now sort of work together as an all-women's gardening company. Started off doing this together a few years ago, and then I work as a gardener already, and then she's been helping me in my professional work. And now she's branched out her own business. As we know, bees are on the decline, and they're a major player in all of the things that we grow. Even foods that people eat, it's the bees that we rely on. So we're desperately trying to attract the bees, and with that they will bring the other wildlife with them.
Having a green space like this, does that help, do you think?
It helps. It's interesting that you say that we have the worst record in terms of bees, pollinators, etc., because as a nation we're known for being amazing gardeners. So perhaps it's just a question of just changing the habits, changing the way in which we perceive our gardens and our open spaces. Not so much as manicured gardens, but as just places where insects and humans can live together.
Rebecca Bradshaw and the team from the West Byfleet Community Gardening Group are always on the lookout for volunteers, and their email is on the screen now. You remember back in October we visited Joy Sashak to learn about the Victorian ditches and watercourses that run through the grounds of her rewilding project and the difficulties that beset any clearing operation. Well, we now return to see how things have progressed. She was hoping to start clearing nearly 9 miles of clogged and overgrown ditches that run through the estate. Many, like this one, were full of thick invasive grasses. Some were just full of reeds and sludge. But now we jump forward a month or two to see how the ditch clearing is progressing. The Herculean task of clearing the miles of clogged up ditches with their decades of reeds and silt and restoring a proper water flow through the estate falls to Richard, the groundsman. It's a project that couldn't be entertained without the help of serious digging machinery. During a break from the work, he told us just how far they'd progressed.
So a third of the way through the project, we were up over probably the second green over, ditching as usual, put the bucket in, pulled it out, there must have been 30-40 eels within the rubbish. Put it on the bank, and of course the eels just couldn't wait to get back into the water. But so there is life in here. The only problem is, through not ditching all these years, you've lost the oxygen in the water and the movement of water, so it's actually just stagnated. There's no fish in here. We found a pike many years ago up in Joy's land, the original land, but pike could just get through anything anyway. But I'm hoping with this movement of water, you've got a lot more ducks on there now and wildlife. I'm hoping that, if we can introduce some bottom feeding fish, crucian carp, something like that, they in turn will then
roach and
they'll just eat the stuff that I'm pulling out now, basically.
Yeah.
Well, that's the sort of aim of the game of it all.
Once you get a flow, it'll clean itself as well, won't it?
It is.
You know?
I think this is the first run through. That'll be great. I think a secondary run through will really start doing the business. It's a mishmash of loads of different styles of soil displaced through ancient rivers, I would say. Don't forget down the road the sandpit. You know, all round here.
Very irony.
Chertsey is gravel extraction. Round here in the Surrey Hills is sand extraction. I mean, this is just to drop the water level at the moment. We're not being pretty about it. It's not a landscaping task. It's just basically, you can see the water's now flowed, that you've now got the sticks moving that way.
Yep.
Up until this next blockage. And when we move that again, it'll go. The first 3 years will be crucial, really, to the whole project. So we're not only dealing with the land water from Bolton's Lane all the way down, permeating through the land, but we're dealing with modern civilization, isn't it? It's really, at the end of the day, and that's it. All of that pile of next year I can put into here, and it'll block that, and the water will then pass past it rather than welling around it.
Soaking all the trees.
So
it'll probably grow better as well.
It's a long-term project at the end of the day. It's not something that can just be done once and we're done. I think it's, don't forget, before machinery, guys were hand ditching this every winter. That was their winter job. Once they'd done the cattle and everything else, there's not a lot to do in the winter. Get on the ditches, because if the ditches aren't done, your crops fail because their boots are in water all the time. So it's just the old school way, isn't it?
It's the old school way. Richard the groundsman was talking to us about the mammoth task he has to clear nearly 9 miles of rivers and ditches. And we'll be following him in the new year, possibly with boots on. Well, that's it for December, but before we go, I'd like to thank you all very much indeed for all the support you've given us here at Wild Pyrford since we began in September. Thank you from all of us here at Broadcasting House. Someone actually said to me how smoothly everything seems to run. Would that was true. If you're engaged on a conservation project or determined to arrest climate change, we'll just have to go again on that. But we're beginning this October edition by visiting a beekeeper here in Pyrford to find out. We'll go again on this, I think. I think we'll go again. Hello and welcome to Wild Pyrford. This is the November edition after a lot of trials and tribulations. But hey ho, it's a nice day and let's hope it'll all work. It probably won't do, but we'll see what happens. And a very good afternoon. And talking of months, next month we'll have some practical help on building those habitats that attract wildlife even, back into your garden. That's for next time, of course. But a special thanks to Carol and of course to our contributors. And we'll go again because we've got an aircraft as well. And that's a cut. Do you know, I think we'll have to do that all again. Well, that really is it. We're back in January with a look at conservation in our local churchyards. And we'll find out what plans Joy Sashak has for rewilding in the new year. From all of us here at Wild Pyrford, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your Christmas. Our closing music is It's the New Year, was written by Lance Jones, with lyrics by Robert Mathieu and a Christmas arrangement by Clive Chase. And it was sung by Kimberly and friends. We'll see you in the new year. I'm Tim Matthews and this is Wild Pyrford.
To right what we did wrong. What did I say? We'll drink to Happy New Year and seal it with a song. It's the new year. Let's drink to thankfulness.